Hello and a warm welcome to Federal's special program, Capital Beat. A political storm has erupted in Delhi over General Naravane's book even before a single copy hit the shelves. Now, hours after Delhi police registered an FIR over the alleged circulation of an unauthorized version of former Army Chief Naravane's memoir, Penguin Random House, India has now issued a firm clarification. The book has not been published in any form. It's that what they are saying, and I'm going to put out a quote of what Penguin India has said. Let's pull out that graphic where what Penguin India has said after the FIR was lodged. We wish to make it clear that the book has not gone into publication. No copies in print or digital form have been published, distributed, sold, or otherwise made available to the public by Penguin Random House India. Now, while this controversy rages because now there is an FIR as to how this book was leaked, whether it was online, but the clarification which has come from Penguin India clearly shows that the story is not straight. Now, in the meanwhile, what has happened? There is an old tweet which is doing the rounds, and this was quoted by Rahul Gandhi as well today. And I want to put out that old tweet of General Naravane, and this is dated 15th of December 2023. Now, what does this, if you look at the picture very closely, it very clearly says, and if you could download this picture and also show it in close up, General Naravane says that, hello friends, my book is available now. Just follow the link. Happy reading. Jai Hind. Now, if you look at the picture very closely, I don't know if you can zoom this. Shravan, you're backstage, and if you can try and zoom this picture clear to the viewers as to what the Penguin book was saying in 2023, because this is an important tweet, and this is what has been quoted by Rahul Gandhi as well. Now, if you look at the picture very closely, I'm going to just read out, if you can just zoom in, if you can show it. This old tweet of General Naravane has a picture of Penguin India, which is tagged, and it says, as we gear up for Vijay Divas, let's take a moment to celebrate the heroes of our country, starting with, and it's tagged Manoj Narvane, the 28th Chief of Army Staff who fought for India for decades. To know his story, pre-order 4 stars of destiny, and then the link of the book is mentioned. Now, this is the picture which I was talking about, and this picture has been part of the tweet which was written by General Naravane in 2023. It has been quoted online. This tweet is viral. Rahul Gandhi asked a question: who is lying? General Naravane is lying, or Penguin is lying? And then he said that I would rather believe my former army chief, that is General Naravane. So, what does it go to show? Is Penguin India under pressure? Now, this is the picture which I was talking about. Now, this is the picture where Penguin India says that as we gear up for Vijay Divas, let's take a moment to celebrate the heroes of our country, starting with Manoj Narvane, the 28th Chief of Army Staff who fought for India for decades. To know his story, pre-order 4 stars of destiny now, and then the Amazon link is available. So now the thing is, Delhi police is saying that how could the book get leaked if it did not have a clearance from the Ministry of Defense? So who is lying? Who has leaked the book? That is one question. Second issue is that of course, who has leaked the book? And apart from that, is it an infringement of copyright as well? Or is it a case of coercion? What does it mean? Now, is there pressure on Penguin India to not to say anything, whether it was leaked, whether it was not leaked, whether it was published, not published? But the controversy around General Naravane's book has got deepened. So we'll try and find out answers to all these questions. Joining me this evening is Sabah Naqvi, senior journalist, political commentator, and author. Thank you so much, Sabah, for joining. We have Pushpraj Deshpande, who's another author and policy expert. Thank you so much, Pushpraj, for joining. We have General Ashok Mehta, independent security expert. So thank you so much for joining. And I'll begin with Pushpraj because he also keeps writing books. Now, what do you see? How do you read this controversy now that the controversy has deepened? Now, is this a case of copyright infringement, or do you see this as some kind of a coercion now on the Penguin publishers?
Hi, Nilu. Very good afternoon to you, our fellow panelists and our viewers. See, firstly, the book itself there are multiple tweets now that are circulating where it's very clear that Penguin had published this book, had printed copies of it, and it was available for pre-order. No matter that Penguin has put out a clarification tweet now explaining the difference between pre-order and so on and so forth, but the fact of the matter is it was published by Penguin, it was sent out for pre-orders, the link was ready with General Naravane has also tweeted. That's one part of it. Now the thing is that please let's understand that when any publishing house, including Penguin, when a book is published and it is up for pre-order, the first thing that they do to whip up some to buzz about the book, they will start sending out those book copies as manuscripts. It'll have not for circulation, not for publishing, so on and so forth. They'll send out soft copies or hard copies to media houses. That's the first thing that they do. That is how excerpts start coming out in the media, right? So these excerpts had already started circulating when the book was out for pre-order. So clearly some X number of copies, I don't know how many, but typically about 100, 200 copies are sent out to various media houses, and another 50 to 100 are sent out to various influential experts or content creators to generally talk about the book, start planning panel discussion. This typically happens much before the book is actually out in the market. That's how it happens, and we know because we have been publishing with many publishing houses including Penguin, that this is the way the sequentially this is how it happens. Now the thing is that somewhere along the line, after the pre-order is ready, after they've sent out books to the media for marketing, something has happened which has asked because of which Penguin has had to pull back all the books. They've withdrawn all the books, but obviously you're not going to be able to pull back 100% of the stock of the books that you have sent out for publicity,
But
which
can I
means.
just clarify one quick thing, Pushpraj, before you explain it further? That will you see this as a copyright infringement? Because Delhi Police Special Cell has lodged an FIR saying that how were the copies of the book leaked when it did not get an approval from the Ministry of Defense? Now, how does one read? You are saying that this is a normal pattern. This is what all the publishers do. They release certain excerpts online, they give it to the content creators. So, which means that it's part of the normal course. But now Delhi Police gets back and says that who leaked the book?
See, typically what happens is that the publishers, it is their responsibility to do the due diligence for the book before the book is up for pre-order also. So if the publishers have not done the due diligence, if they have not sought necessary clearances, it is neither the general's fault nor the opposition party's fault. And they are certainly not to be targeted. The publisher, and it's very clear that if they are contractually bound, or if there is an official government order, I'm not aware of any GO of this, but if there is a government order or some kind of memo from the Ministry of Defense saying that they have to get clearances on all books before they are pre-ordered, then the publisher should have first done that. Legal compliances is the publisher's job, not the author's job. Certainly not the. Authors have to look at the veracity of the facts. That's where they have their legal compliance ends. But other kinds of compliances is the publisher's headache. So if they have sent it out on pre-release and then they have pulled it back, there is something very fishy. I think that there is some kind of retrospective order that has been put in by the government of India. Now, this can only happen at the highest level. Either the Ministry of Defense has done this or the PMO has done this. Now, that is something that the publishers have to clarify. The general and the opposition don't have any say in this. That's the first thing. The second thing is that some, as I said, 100% of the books can't be taken back from the media and influencers. Some must have been circulating, right? So it's very likely that some of them have gone to the opposition. That's one thing. But the larger question is, why is Penguin? I mean, frankly speaking, let's just step back. And any publishing house is ultimately a dukan, right? You want to maximize sales. Now there is such a controversy happening around this particular book.
Yeah.
Why is Penguin not capitalizing on this and going ahead and functioning like a commercial establishment? Why is it why is it functioning like a publishing division of the government of India? That is one part of it which relates to the Penguin publishing house. The second part of the question is that why is the government, and of course the General Mehta sir is here, he would be better placed to answer this, but why is the government so wary of talking about the things that the Chief of Army Staff discussed in his book? Now, idly speaking, these are things that you should be. I mean, they themselves, the BJP government themselves, has been going on and on about how the Henderson report has not been published after 62 war. The same logic applies here. If you needed that report to be published, which you have not done, declassified yourself, then why are you putting this kind of ban on this book when clearly even the excerpts that came out are up for debate? And frankly speaking, the other thing is that the government, if it were, even if it had any political sense, it would say that this general himself oversaw much of the encroachment by China into this ingress into India, and he is just as liable for the decisions taken on the field. Now, there is something clearly amiss here. Either his hands were genuinely handcuffed, and they want to ensure that there is no conversation on security or strategic lines that this general or this book can spark. In which case, the buck again stops with the government of India. So these are the two parts of this. And the last thing is the opposition. I mean, to blame the opposition for pulling out substantive issues related to national security, and to look at a book that is already out in the market. When I say in the market, it might not be there in retail, but it's certainly been sent out by the publishers to some media people, to some influencers to talk about it, create some pre-publicity buzz. So you
Right,
can't blame the opposition for getting hold. That they're doing their job. They're talking.
right.
They're raising important issues. It is the government's job to respond to that on the floor of the house. How can they slap Official Secrets Act on this?
Right.
This is just max of authoritarianism.
Right. Now, before I come to Sabha, I would like to play out the graphics which I just got, and what Penguin India does with the pre orders and the other categories of books they put out. Now, it's very clear. And let's understand. No, 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 not this one. Not this one. I sent you a graphic. Yes, this is the one. Now, this is a quick guide to how book publishing works at Penguin Random House India. This was forwarded to me by Pushpraj only, so I thought I'll share it with the viewers so that they can get an idea. Now, the first an announced book, a book available for pre-order, and a published book are not the same thing. Let's understand the difference, and that's how they are explaining it. Book announced, that's the first category. The publisher has shared that a book is planned. It is not yet published or available for sale. Second, book available for pre-order. Pre-order is a standard publishing practice. It allows readers and retailers to place advance orders. The book is not yet published or available. Third point, book scheduled for a future date. A scheduled publication date means the book is planned for release. It does not mean the book has been published. And then the next category is the published book. A book is published only when it is available at retail channels for purchase. Now, this is what the quick guide of Penguin India says. Now, Sabha, what do you make of this controversy now? It's
So
become
let
more,
me.
and the mystery is also deepening. Yes,
So first of all, Neelu, I'll say that I have published with Rupa. I mean, people have come to me and said, "Ye kitab likh dijiye, hashtag."
yes,
Then I had a book on the BJP with this Amazon-backed publisher, Westland, right. And then the copyright came back to me, and Penguin bought it. So in 24, they published the the updated edition of my book on the BJP called Saffron Storm. And I'm aware of Penguin's practices, so they were my publisher. So having gone through these whole lot of publishers, number one, I will tell you one thing: anything to do with the Bharatiya Janata Party, everybody looks at your books are going to lawyers. It is being vetted by lawyers. Penguin also happens to be the publisher of Pradhan Mantri Narendra Modi, Exam Warrior. Penguin also bunked sort of gave up Wendy Doniger's book. It gave it up.
yeah.
Okay, so there is it is as the earlier speaker said, it is a increasingly a business. They have kept up with some very well known authors who may be critical of the regime because they bring in sales of lakhs. Okay, but fundamentally Penguin is not considered the most courageous publisher, but it is the big one. It is the big one. It has a marketing reach. There are some smaller. So Wendy Doniger's book, for instance, let's look at the journey of that. I have no issues because I've had so many. Hachette has come for one book. Different people came to me asking me, "Aap likh dijiye," because I'm a journalist. I'm not somebody with a novel who's looking for a publisher, right? Please write on this. Please write on that. So let's just look at it. Penguin is very commercially minded. It is very careful. It puts everything through legal if it's anything political. Don't imagine this did not go through legal. So I can only deduce, and that this was a hot book. I mean, a guy who's a former army chief, they would imagine that it's cool to do it, and it would be sensational also. But obviously, something happened at the last minute, and the government of India did not want it out. Do not expect Penguin to fight the good fight. that they are subverting the issue. Somebody has got a hold of it and has circulated these manuscripts. Okay, they would be extremely careful about this. They are the prime minister's publishers. I mean, Exam Warriors, as far as I know, is published by them.
Yeah.
So they're a big publishing house. I'm not saying anything in their mind also, in a way, but I'm just being very neutral, like I would be about the whole situation right now. This is
Right.
the situation. So I don't know what has happened over here, but
No, but
clearly,
does it put Sabha? I'll ask this question to Pushpraj also a little later. Sabha, does this put Penguin in a very sticky situation? Now, Penguin doesn't know what to do. They've done their job.
yeah. So what they'll do, I'll tell you, if there is actually going to be a police investigation, they'll go through the email links, right? Who sent
Yeah.
which who email? Because a lot of these copies, even I mean, I was also came through WhatsApp. I whatever,
Yeah.
whatever. They will start looking at email, who sent out or whatever, if they really want to get into it, or they have just registered, because you'll be arresting half the media of Delhi then,
Yes.
and you'll be
Absolutely.
arresting half the people. So what you can't. So I don't know what laws we should ideally have a lawyer in here, but I presume they'll go backwards. Whether this came out from the did the general circulate it? Was he so frustrated and so annoyed? Did he start circulating? Did he give it to a few people who then decided on his behalf to forward? What does it take to forward a manuscript? One way to keep a manuscript under wraps, because I know this, is that you do not send an email of it. You give your agent or whatever a printout with certain kind of books. You first say and you decide if somebody wants this book.
No, in
If it's
fact, I
going
remember
to,
in one of the statements, if you remember, I think General Naravane was at some literary festival where some reporter asked him about the book because it was taking a lot of time. And then he replied to the reporter saying that let the book age like wine. This is what he said at that point of time.
yeah. So now, I mean, it's a very intriguing. But I personally, and I think we have General Mehta sitting there to tell us the
Yes.
heart of the question is: can the army stop it? We've heard various interpretations of it, because obviously the general who was chief of army staff should have had an idea of what he can do and what he cannot do, right? you know so he wrote a book, his memoirs. So what kind of a diktat has stopped the publication of this book? And Penguin,
Absolutely.
believe me, this is not some radical chic publisher. They would
Hmm.
have done some due diligence. It would have gone to a lawyer. They would have just presumed
Yeah.
that being an army chief, they send their manuscripts are vetted by the legal, if it's anything political, not fiction and all, not books on
Yeah.
nature, but they are vetted, you know. So that's all I can. Yeah.
Right. So I'll go to General Mehta now. What do you make sense of this controversy, sir? I mean, is it some kind of a diktat which the publisher was put through? They must have got some direction because, like both Pushpraj and Sabha explained, that there is a procedure which they follow normally in any book. But this book suddenly has taken the entire country to storm.
Well, similarly, Nilu, there is a procedure in the armed forces for the military to follow a certain procedure while getting a book published. And that procedure, in my time, and I don't think that has changed, that if you wanted even an article published in a magazine, if you were a serving officer, in this case, he had retired. And if you are retired, you are still bound by the Official Secrets Act and a number of army rules that prohibit you from writing in public about anything. So, therefore, my assessment is that there is no way that General Naravane, who is the army chief, not an ordinary person of the military, could have could have sent the draft of the book to Penguin without having it cleared by the military intelligence. And military intelligence is part of the Ministry of Defense. So My analysis would be this, that um, the publishers did what they did, but they must have ascertained, verified whether this book, even before seeking pre-orders or whatever that they do, as was explained by the very eminent publisher on our panel, that it has military clearance. It has clearance from the government. Now, my analysis is that the book, the pre-order copies got made, and the excerpts were printed, as we now know, and as I
I do
saw
want to
in
understand,
2020.
Jan Mehta, just allow me to interrupt you. Now, the excerpts of the book were sent out to all the content creators and on WhatsApps, and the PDF was shared. Many excerpts were publicized, but the clearance from the Ministry of Defense was waiting. Now, did the publisher go wrong
We have
anywhere?
no,
Did
no,
they have
no, no, no.
the Ministry of
No,
Defense clear
the
the thing?
Penguin has not said that any clearance from the government. Have they said anywhere that we were waiting for MOD clearance? Of course
Okay.
not.
So
They
is
have
this an
not said.
added, no, but is this an added condition or imposed by the government in the light of
No,
this case?
just Nilu, just wait. What Once the excerpts were published, when did the government get alert? How did it get alert? It got alert because the PTI published the most damaging
Yes,
excerpts
yes,
to the
absolutely.
government, and that they were one on Agnipath, number two on Operation Snow Leopard, the night of 30th, 31st. And that is when somebody in government saw this. Now, I'm saying this is how I read it. Somebody in government saw this and they then said, Arey, roko isko,
Ah,
isko
see?
band karo.
Yes.
And after that, this got, uh, they stopped it. And they stopped it because it shows the government in bad light, both in the case of Agnipath as well as in the case of this Operation Snow Leopard, where this now very famous direction is floating around कि जो उचित समझो वैसे करो. This has become the so that's the point. And the government, if you see its record, as somebody pointed out, they will not. They criticize Congress for Henderson Brooks, but they will advertise. I mean, you look at the way they have treated Sindoor. They have the whole Republic Day parade, beating retreat, international kite flying in Gujarat. Everything is Sindoor, Sindoor. That's an operation. And it is being publicized because it was handled personally by Prime Minister Modi. And this particular issue, the debate that the Congress wants and the leader of opposition wants in Parliament, will open the complete what the government has been trying to hide, and the government hides behind word that they use is national security. That if we discuss the LAC issue, ये जवानों के मनोबल पर असर पड़ेगा, ये हमारी नेशनल सिक्योरिटी पे असर पड़ेगा, which is neither here nor there. And if you can talk about the Balakot strikes, if you can talk about Uri, the surgical strikes, and of course Sindoor. So wherever everything has gone well, publicize. Where there is a problem, where it has come out that there is a serious problem that, and it's not a small man who's talking about. It's unprecedented that an army chief in the history of this country is published. And by the way, a former army chief who was during an earlier operation, which was also conducted by BJP of Parakram, General Nirmal Vij, who published his book after Naravane, his book got locked. They banned his book, and he'd got his clearance, but they locked his book because nobody had read it in the MOD or properly gone through with the tooth comb. So I think I don't think anybody is hiding behind anybody. This is simply a case of the government trying to find somebody to nail. And they are doing this on the publishers, and the publishers are saying what they are saying. They could never have done pre orders, they could never have allowed excerpts to go out without clearance. Simple as
Yes,
that.
absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'll come to the final questions now to Pushpraj and Sabha. Pushpraj, to you first. Do you think that now that Delhi's police special cell has lodged an FIR, are we really going to see General Naravane's book hitting the shelves at all? Or now we do not know when it's going to come out?
See, I don't think this book is going to see the light of day officially, but as Sabaji said, I think everyone has seen it unofficially,
Yes.
and a lot of people are reading it also. So honestly speaking, if Penguin were genuinely conducting itself as a commercial establishment, interested in a, without, I mean, as everyone has said here, if they have done their due diligence, if they have gone by the book, and if the general has taken due clearances, as Lieutenant General Mehta was also saying, then Penguin should just stick to its guns and go ahead and capitalize and milk this opportunity. And frankly speaking, I think it's high time that after 11 years of obfuscating and pussyfooting on the strategic issues, we need to have a serious, structured discussion, especially given what is happening now globally. Not just Pakistan and China, but Seychelles, the Five Eyes. There are a lot of structural fault lines that we have not been able to discuss, or put good ideas in the national interest before the government. The government is really conducting itself very
No, but
poorly.
Pushpraj, as an author,
So my
as an
point is,
author,
no.
yes.
So my point is, if the general's book, right, and if the opposition are collectively raising strategic issues that his book has outlined, frankly speaking, the government should, in the national interest, should have allow a discussion. That's the first thing. And the second thing, there is, of course, I mean, the government has, Prime Minister Modi has publicly gone on record and said, please criticize me. I want to know criticism. Constructive criticism is going to help me govern better, and so on and so forth. He should not shy away from anything that the general has been talking about. For start of destiny, if it is genuine, if it's even 1/10 of what the opposition is saying, frankly speaking, this is collectively something that we should all be talking about. Yes, it's a very sad day for freedom of speech. It's a very sad day for publishing itself. I don't know what pressure Penguin is operating under, that it needs to shy away from capitalizing on what seems to be a very lucrative deal. This book alone is going to make away going to get them profits enough to last the entire year, as opposed to the, what was the other book Sabaji mentioned? Some exam, something
Exam
exam.
warriors. Exam
Yeah,
warriors. Yeah.
I'm sure that this book will cover the losses.
I don't agree. Anyway, let you finish. I'll tell you why Exam Warrior makes money. But you please
Yeah.
carry on.
No, I'll
Maybe
come to that question, but there was one question in my mind. As an author, both of you are authors. Pushpraj, first to you. As an author today, you are going to sympathize with Penguin, or you're going to be angry that, look, they should have taken a stand, like what you said, that I don't know why they are not capitalizing on it. Would you sympathize with them, or you're really annoyed with the way Penguin is reacting on this?
Look, I'll be very careful because I do publish with Penguin also. I know they're in a very, I know they're in a corner right now. It is
Right.
not. It is really not Penguin's fault. As Sabaji was saying, it takes 6-8 months from the day the manuscript is submitted till there is copyright, there is legal vetting, there is the books go back and forth for fact checking, then they are submitted, then the legal compliances go, so in this case the general must have sent it to the MOD, the military intelligence, as Lieutenant General was saying. All of these things would have been sorted out, then they decide to typeset the book, then they decide to publish it, then they decide to send it out to the media. So all of this takes a really, really long time, and I can imagine Penguin, as a global publishing giant like Penguin, would have been extra careful with a highly sensitive book like this. So I know they're in a spot, but it's not on them. It's the BJP government that is pressurizing them.
Right. No, it's a clear case of coercion. Yes, Abha, you wanted to make a point then. Yes.
First of all, I want to say that what General Mehta has said is the only logical thing that makes sense. Because I know publishers today, I know Penguin, that too, will never have gone so far without already a clearance from the MOD. It's the only logical sequence of events that he's telling us. And he gave the example of a former army chief during Operation Parakram, which were also days when I used to cover the BJP, and that was a complete disaster in the terms of how many people lost their lives and all. I'll give you some wicked ideas. Now, all contracts in India are signed for the
Yes.
Indian rights. If Penguin really, if the general wants to push ahead with this, and if the government, I mean, are they going to arrest the former army chief under Official Secrets Act? Anyone can publish it, sign a foreign right. Which agent will do it? Which one? Who will do it? Sign the right for UK rights. It can be published. You don't have to publish here. This is big enough now. An Indian general, okay, now I don't think you should publish through a Chinese funded. But this, if the general wants to, if he's allowed to, unless this copyright now, Penguin will now control it and will not pass it on to him because he signed a contract with them. You see, publishers can also kill you. There, if you see the clauses in the publishing sensitive material, there is that if the book does not meet this standard, if the book does not, cannot. So hypothetically, does general want to say to hell with it? I will publish in UK. Will Penguin
Yes.
release the Indian copyright to him and allow him to publish in UK, US? Anyone will publish this manuscript, but he has to get the rights back now. And now that the case has been filed, this is also,
Yes.
it's all building
That's
up.
good.
Will Penguin release? So and I just want to say the reason why Pushpraji, why Exam Warriors sells, even if you and I don't read it, is because every government school library buys it, every private school library buys it, every BJP, thousands and thousands of copies of eulogies of the Prime Minister, people keep publishing. You know, there was a book event in Delhi which I attended, which is just books on Narendra Modi. So people keep publishing because the government keeps buying it. So this is my thing is wicked.
School level, at school level, I'm
First
told that
question,
the teachers
let's ask the
recommend
answer. Will Penguin release the copyright?
Right.
We don't know. Will the general say he can publish? There are three questions. Will the Penguin now release his copyright? Will he sign a foreign person? And will he publish it? And having done so, will the government then arrest him under Official Secrets Act? Wicked questions, all three being asked. That's all
Right.
I'm saying.
Okay, so let's take the concluding comments. Those are interesting ideas you've given. But General Mehta, what now are the options left before General Naravane? Now, will he do all of what Sabha spoke about? It's a scary idea.
Well, General Naravane should be singing and dancing. That his book, even
You should be
if it's
careful.
not
You just
published.
want singing dance now. Yeah, go ahead. Please.
Sorry, I
Go
didn't
ahead.
get that.
No,
Yeah.
I'm saying you should be careful now when you
He
use
should
the
be
word
the
song and dance.
he should be the happiest man because his book has been referred to in Parliament. It's, I think, out in every media, on social media. So the book doesn't need to be published. You should just use the excerpts which are being out. The excerpts, by the way, have not been banned. I haven't heard anywhere. So Caravan published. I'm not sure whether Sushant Singh touches on Agnipath, but he covers snow leopard, including Galwan, in great detail. And I have heard him. He has done a lot of good work on this. He understands this, and therefore, General Narvane's book, I think it should be out. It should be discussed in Parliament because there are some very useful lessons that will be learned. And at the end of the day, the deal that we have signed with the Chinese in October of last year is very damaging. And we have normalized relations even after making a public announcement. The army chiefs, successive army chiefs, have said that our bottom line is status quo ante. That means the Chinese troops must go back to where they were in April, May 2020. The Chinese troops are sitting on your territory. They haven't gone back more than 3 kilometers and made you go back on your own territory. They've created buffer zones. You've lost grazing rights. You've lost patrolling rights. Some limited patrolling is on. So how can the government discuss this? How can the government allow this to be debated in Parliament? It will show this government's complete incompetence in negotiation, where they had this ace up. The Operation Snow Leopard was the ace in their hand, but they decided to pull out from Kailash Heights, and this is what you got. So they've faulted on a number of counts, and this is what we are. So how will they not suppress this book? How will they not allow? They will never allow the book to come out, and they will never allow a debate in Parliament. If the government changes, then four stars of destiny will see the day of light. Otherwise, it doesn't. Even as it is, everybody now knows about Narvane's destiny.
Right. All right. So, one book which has triggered the entire country. It's a field day for the authors, the publishers, because there are so many angles to be explored because of this one book. We'll have to end it here. Thank you so much, General Mehta, Saban Akwi, Pushpraj. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you.